generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this week's Shoot the Sheev podcast, we're talking about another one of our favorite Star Wars video games, and that is Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. We already talked about the first one. Kyle was here with us, and so Kyle is back here to talk about the second game. This game came out a while ago. Coming off of the first game, we had the two open-ended endings that we had. If you chose the dark side, you go fight Vader. If you chose the light side, then you went and fought Palpatine. And this game follows if you had chosen the light side. And so at the end of the other game, it seems like Starkiller sacrifices himself so that everybody else can make it out. And so in this game, when we have Starkiller, he has kind of like a identity crisis, because Vader is trying to clone a whole bunch of Starkillers, and the one that we're playing as doesn't know if he's the actual Starkiller or if he's just a clone. And because he's having more thoughts and memories about what the original Starkiller had, that's what's really starting to make him wonder about who he is. So we do start off, I think, on Kamino. I'm pretty sure, because it's always raining there.
Yeah.
And it's your job to bust out and then eventually leave the planet and, go and get some help. Vader taunts him all the time, saying you're a clone, you're not, what you should be, you're defective. And he's trying to belittle him and then eventually probably kill him if need be. Starkiller eventually gets off the planet, and then he has to find his old friend, Ram Koda. He's also trying to find, what's her face? Juno? I think that's her name. So he's trying to find Juno, which is now working with the rebels. And then he's also trying to find Koda, which he's doing whatever he's doing. We do find out that Ram Koda is actually, I don't remember the planet, but he's kind of like a gladiator in a way. Like, he gets paid to fight big monsters and stuff. And so Starkiller eventually stumbles across him, and then you have to fight one of these huge monsters just like Koda would. So you have that little scuffle, and then of course eventually you get away, and then the pair of you head off towards trying to find the rebels. Once we find the rebels, our main character, Starkiller, is reunited with Juno, and they are heading, I don't remember where they were heading. Maybe they were just informing them, because they were heading towards Kamino, and you get ambushed by something of the... Oh yeah, Vader has Boba send out some like bounty hunter droid type things, and then they catch up to the rebels, and you face off with them, and I believe it's Boba that takes Juno and takes her to Vader. So that's how they lure them to Kamino. So then you head towards Kamino. There's a huge battle that happens between the Empire and the rebels, and then we get the climactic fight with Vader at the very end, and the game's over. So it's a very short game. Needless to say, it's probably a game you can finish in a good 4 to 5 hours if you are playing on the basic difficulty. I would say though, even though it's super short, it wasn't bad. They definitely made improvements on the combat. Force Unleashed 2 means you had two lightsabers. Did you like that upgrade in the combat?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the upgrade. The difference between one and two is pretty um like big, and you could tell the difference. In the first one, you couldn't really chop off limbs, but in this one, they added that, which was a cool effect they had. You start out with a lot of the powers. I think that you end off with in the first game, so that was kind of a cool feature. Made you feel pretty uh powerful when starting out. I think the only thing I had an issue with in the combat was the repetitiveness of beating certain characters. Um, because
Yeah,
like
that
in
was
the first,
kind of an issue with the first one too, right?
yeah, that was kind of an issue with the first one, and then I just felt with the first one you had enough different characters that it wasn't so dry after the first couple times. But this one is just repetitive. Like it's cool the first like 20 times, and after that it got kind of old. So like if they switched the like little cutscene you have with beating them, like even with one different one, it would have been cool.
Yeah. So maybe what kind of explains why we had not the greatest upgrade with the combat as far as that goes, and also how short the game is um being super young. Oh, I shouldn't say super young. I think I was a junior in high school. And so I didn't really understand what this media talk was that they kept using. They kept saying over and over that, we went with a quality over quantity approach with the second game. And I never really thought of that as a red flag until I played the game. Of course, I love the game, but it it definitely, left a how is this the end of it kind of a thing,
Hmm.
like because it
Yeah,
was so short.
yeah.
Um, so we did get that effect with the game, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I know they. I don't remember if this was before. It's probably before they got bought out, but it looked like they were trying to make a third one, because they left it on a cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah, the just like the first game, we had the, two choices. At the end of this game, you got to choose whether you wanted to kill Vader or if you wanted to listen to the rebels and, take them into custody kind of a thing. Um, yeah, and we get that little scene at the very end where Vader is imprisoned and Starkiller is basically saying stuff kind of along the lines of I'm no longer afraid of you. You don't control me. And then as Starkiller is walking out the door, I'm pretty sure Vader says something along the lines of we'll see. Like, yes, he's still in control of you. Because Vader learned in this game that if he controls Juno, then he controls Starkiller.
Yeah,
So, there is ways for him to uh, control his former apprentice, even though his former apprentice is a little more confident that he can't.
yeah. I think it was this one. It the the cutscene where Vader's telling him that like Juno doesn't matter, and I like the scene because you just feel the passion of him, and he's like, she matters to me. It's like I thought that was like a really powerful scene, and just shows how much that statement of Vader saying like, or knowing that if he controls her, he controls him. I thought it added a lot to at least that point.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I thought that scene was really good, and I think it was used a lot in the marketing, like the trailers and stuff.
Yeah,
And that fight sequence was epic too. I
yeah, that,
remember, I think you like start off, on the ledge there, but then you kind of go through like the cloning factory, and then you have to fend
yeah.
off the like damaged clones and
Hmm.
Vader at the same time. And eventually we get to that huge ending where I want to say he chopped off one of Vader's limbs or something because he eventually uses like the electricity from the tower to
Uh-huh.
channel his own and, shock the crap out of Vader.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, it was epic. And that's
Yeah,
why it's so sad that they didn't come out with the third one.
yeah, it really was. Yeah, I would say I don't know how they would have brought him in, but it did feel like they were trying to bring Star Killer into the main storyline of the Star Wars universe. But I mean, maybe if they had a third one, they could have figured it out. But I still feel like he's a wasted potential. But I understand because he is pretty strong, and that's hard to bring in a character that's big.
All they have to do is reboot it.
Yeah.
I would play, kind of like I know it's in limbo a little bit, but I think it's Aspire that's trying to remake Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, nice.
I mean, they could do that with The Force Unleashed. I would be
Yeah,
fine. I'd be still
that,
one of the first in line to pick it up.
that would be too. But
Um,
I uh I would say overall with this game, combat was really fun. The story part, I mean I looked it up and apparently they only had 9 months to make this game. So that's not really a lot of time to make a good story.
yeah,
So
no
I kind
kidding.
uh, so I get why it was so short and like they just did their best with the combat and what they could. Um, but yeah, I usually games take at least 2 years to be, so the 9 months is that was pretty impressive of what they did.
Yeah, no kidding. I didn't realize it was only 9 months.
Yeah,
That's super short.
that's really short for what they could get done. It's like just imagine if they had the uh full like 2 years.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that. Like, were they trying to have like a yearly release or something? But
I think they saw the hype behind the first one and they were trying to emphasize on it. Um, but I that's my guess. I'm not 100% sure of why they rushed it so much. Um, and it could have been maybe they were having talks and issues about like if we don't push it now, it's not going to happen.
yeah, and I think that was made by LucasArts, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken. Uh,
Yeah,
so, Lucasfilm's own gaming division, which makes you feel even makes me question even more why they would do that. Like, because George Lucas made Lucasfilm
Mhm.
so that people could not tell him what to do. So I feel like if he wanted a good Star Wars product on that game, then he would have been like, you know, take the normal time that a game takes.
yeah, that's what I would think, but I'm not sure if he was having pushback in some way. But yeah, I agree. They should have maybe he just wasn't concerned at the time, or maybe they just didn't want to listen.
Yeah. Um, Forgot what I was gonna say. They did make a book just like the first game. First game
Mhm.
had a novelization, so did the second one. Um,
Is this just the it's just the story of the game, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's what they did for both of them.
Mhm.
Trying to see what all the consoles were because I think there was PlayStation 3, Xbox.
Xbox.
I think there was a DS version. I've never
There was
played.
there was a DS, Wii console, um, and they probably eventually released it for the Wii or for the PC. Um, so yeah, those one, two, four
Oh, there's one
consoles got it.
there was something I missed from the story, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about one of my big criticisms from the different console versions. So stick around. Have you ever wondered what Amazon coffins are and what they're full of? Well, we got you covered here on the channel. Check out our playlist of our Amazon coffin unboxings where Sarah and I open up boxes that have Amazon returns and we share with all of you what we get in each of those boxes. If you ever wanted to get into liquidation and want to know what types of things you can find, check us out. Now back to our show. Welcome back, everybody. When we left, I had mentioned that there was something I want to talk about with some of the differences in the game. So just like the Force Unleashed 1, when we had all the different consoles, there were some pretty big differences amongst the consoles themselves. For the first game, the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions played much differently than, say, the Wii or the PS2 and PSP. And so there was some of that kind of stuff happening also in the Force Unleashed 2. In the trailer for the Force Unleashed 2, we see that he actually meets Yoda. He goes to Dagobah and tries to figure some stuff out for what's going on with him because he's so conflicted about whether he is a clone or not. And so in the PlayStation and the Xbox 360 version, when you go to Dagobah, there's like you land, you're on Dagobah, there's a couple of collectibles you can get. And then when Starkiller walks up to Yoda, which he's standing outside that tree that Luke went through in Empire. And so Starkiller goes in there to kind of see, what's going on with him. And it's basically a cutscene, and then he leaves Dagobah in the PS3 and Xbox 360 version. For the Wii, and I don't know if it was the Wii U, but at least the Wii, when Starkiller goes to Dagobah, it's actually a full-fledged level that you play. It's not just showing up and then seeing a cutscene about it. And so that's another instance here, like just like the first game, where some of the stuff that we just see in cutscenes or things that we're kind of have to assume or possibly later DLC, the Nintendo versions get them all in one shot. It's like, what the heck?
Nintendo was just either release it late enough where all of it's out and then like, just give it to them, or they paid extra for that.
Well, I will say the Wii graphics don't compete with the PS3 and Xbox 360, so something tells
No.
me they had some extra time there
Yeah.
to do some stuff.
They're like, yeah, we don't have to put that much work in the Nintendo version, so here.
Yeah, just the motion controls is what will sell that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, everybody loves the motion controls. From what I remember playing the Wii version, I was never a fan of the Wii version because it always made it kind of, harder to play because the controls could always be funky or you don't swing it right and it kind of messes you up. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's more of a me preference thing though. But it is cool that they add that extra content in it so you get a little more story based stuff more than and kind of depending on who you are, maybe less fun gameplay. But
yeah, I would agree because I way after the game came out, like you know, more current days, I went and bought those games because I could get them for like $5 a piece,
mhm,
and I feel the same way. It's kind of like in theory, it seems like it would be a really cool thing to do.
yeah,
But once you start doing it, I was just kind of like, I don't know if this is quite for me.
yeah. It's
So, so did you play this on the Wii when it first came out?
Not when it first came out. I played it on my Xbox. Then later I played it on like the Wii. Uh, like I rented it and tried it out. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's kind of like if you played the first one, you kind of understand how it is for the second one. Um, it's still cooler. The extra lightsaber adds a lot of flavor to combat. Um, but some people do enjoy the sometimes swinging around something gets you more immersed. So maybe some people had a lot more fun with the Wii version.
Yeah.
What
I
about you?
also I have not played the second game
Uh-huh.
on the Wii. I played the first one.
Hmm.
It was one of those things where I started like I bought them at the same time,
Uh-huh.
and then when I played the first one, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I want to keep playing this with these controls.
Yeah.
I just didn't go back to it. I probably should,
Yeah.
I bought it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I haven't played the second one all the way through. I did see also that on top of the extra level that the Nintendo Wii got, there was also like a like Smash Brothers style mini game that you could play where you pick different Jedi or whoever, and then you
Oh.
play essentially Smash Brothers with Star Wars characters.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I totally did not remember that.
I didn't remember that either. Mm, yeah, I thought some version added a little more, but it's weird that like not all the consoles got that extra content, I thought. So I didn't think the Xbox had anything like that.
Like the Smash Brothers thing.
Yeah.
No, it was just exclusive to the Wii.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, without, like I said earlier, without having to, make those super nice graphics and whatnot, and the physics too, because I'm
Uh-huh.
sure like the Nintendo Wii didn't focus so much on do these physics look super realistic, or are we
Hmm.
just going for did these look like they're awesome? Like
Yeah.
if you, use force repulse and just
Mhm.
destroy everything, is it going to be technically correct, or is it just going to be like something like a tornado went through here?
Uh-huh. Yeah, then having that movement just makes like if that's what they did, having those movements with the Wii definitely made you feel it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also some cool stuff that came out, post launch too.
Mhm.
We got the DLC for Force Unleashed 2.
Mhm.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was only one level,
Yeah. It-
Endor.
yep. Because the first one had two, because it was the one where you fight Obi-Wan, and then it was when you fight Luke, and this one had one. That's I believe it's where you fight Leia.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you fight. I think there's two fights, isn't there? Isn't there one where you fight like Han and Chewie
Oh,
with
yeah,
like
that's right.
a
Yep.
walker or something, and
Yep.
then you fight Leia in the generator.
Yep.
Um, but even before those things happen, and I'm pretty sure this was like a trophy slash achievement, you
Mhm.
use Force Lightning to fry some Ewoks. I don't know if you remember that, but I thought that was hilarious that they like even
That
made
is
it
a
a thing where you have to do it to get a trophy.
I I don't remember that being a trophy. I do remember the fighting some Ewoks though, but that's funny if they did that. Do
Yeah,
you,
let's see if I can figure out what the name
I was
was
gonna say, do you know what the name of it is?
because it's probably something like pun related or
Yeah,
something. Like instead of fried chicken, fried
Far
Ewok. Something.
Far Ewok.
All the way at the bottom because that's where DLC stuff. Okay, so you didn't have to electrocute them,
Uh-huh.
but you did have to defeat them. So it was called Yub Yub. to kill 20 or more Ewoks.
Yub yub, huh?
Yeah, yub yub.
I wonder what that means in Ewok.
There was okay, there's another one where it's called Sith Kicker, and you
Huh.
drop kick 10 Ewoks. They did not like Ewoks, I don't think.
Whoever was the charge of the DLC was like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of these characters. Let's put some good DLC awards in here.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I'm trying to see if
The-
there's any other ones that were kind of like that. It was cool in the DLC to be able to like maneuver inside of the shield generator too, because we
Yeah,
see a little bit of it, in the movie, but they you get a little more in depth um look around.
yeah, you get it's cool that you get to see a little more of a area you didn't get to see in the movies or even in other things.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought the oh,
I was gonna
I'd
say
say
that's good stuff. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
I was gonna ask you, do you remember when you get to choose between keeping Vader alive or killing him? Do you remember the dark side ending where the clone version of yourself comes up and takes you out?
Well, so see, that's what I was wondering is was that the clone version or was that the real version and you were the clone? I didn't quite understand that.
I felt like it was, I'm not sure if you were the real one. And maybe you were the clone, but I thought he was another clone that he secretly was keeping on the side, um, and kind of having them test him to see how he could be. At least that's how I felt when I saw that.
So this is what it says on Wikipedia. There's a little more stuff than what we've been talking about, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, go for it.
So if you try to kill Vader, it says that Star Killer is impaled by a shrouded figure,
Yep.
uh, and that figure then pushes Coda, his men, and Proxy and all them into the ocean with the
Uh-huh.
Force. And then the figure reveals itself to be a dark Star Killer clone. It says Vader explains to the dying Star Killer that he lied about not being able to perfect the cloning process. Let's see, it says after gazing at Juno's corpse, Starkiller succumbs to his wounds and dies. Vader orders his apprentice to take Starkiller's ship and hunt down the leaders of the Rebel Alliance. So
Hmm.
then it sounds like in turn, the uh the dark side clone then impersonates uh Starkiller to be able to be like, oh, Starkiller's back.
Uh-huh.
Hey buddy, and then he just
Mhm.
walks in and slaughters everybody.
Yeah, he gets it gets dark at the on the DLC with that.
Yeah, I'm also trying to remember because like at the end of the first one's DLC,
Mhm.
you get like that Sith assassin looking suit.
Yeah.
Did this one have that too?
No, he was like the first one, he got all messed up, I thought. Because he had like I think a metal, did he have some kind of like attachment? I at
Yeah.
least remember like the claws. 'Cause I thought he kind of got messed up.
Yeah, it was kind of like his version um of Darth Vader in a way.
Yeah. This one, from what I remember and see, it's like a brand new version. So he looks just fine, but he was kind of more pale. But he did have like a new outfit when you go and fight like Chewie and Han and Leia.
Yeah, I just found a picture. Yeah, he's definitely still human.
Yeah,
He just has a different outfit. Interesting.
outfit and skin. Like if you kind of look at it, he looks kind of more pale, like a Sith would.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting going through like all these pictures. It's like bringing back more and more memories.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also, I believe, if you either you pre-ordered it or you got the collector's edition, which had a steelbook and uh, a flash drive of Star Killer. There wasn't much space on it, but it was still Star Killer.
Yeah.
You got like a code so that you could have a skin where you were like a clone Darth Maul.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was very like looking at what it looks like now, it was kind of strange. Um, but it was neat. It was kind of like a mix between Darth Maul and Star Killer.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I You don't see them do a lot of that, so it's always appreciated when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. They had a lot of skins, like between both games, there was tons of
Yeah.
skins you could choose from. Um, but my complaint from the first one still carried over to this one, where like even if you pick a different skin, so let's say your skin was, I don't know, Luke or something, you still had the lightsabers facing the other way. It didn't turn
Hmm.
into that person's fighting style.
Yeah.
That would be one of my criticisms for the DLC.
Yeah, that would be kind of annoying. It's like it is cool that you look like the character, but you don't have their like abilities and fighting style, which is why I never prefer skins like that for games where they if you're not gonna go all the way with it, then I prefer you don't do it. But that's just me.
Yeah, and if I remember, they were kind of, at least for the time, kind of expensive.
Yeah, it could have been. They priced it a little more, but it was
Yeah,
still cool. I mean, if you're a big fan of Star Wars, it's always cool to have more ways to play as characters you like.
yeah, I would agree.
Did
Well,
you?
we're gonna have to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're gonna keep on keeping on. I know I have a little story I'd like to share about when I first picked up this game because it was pretty crazy. But yeah, stick around. Have you seen The Mandalorian? Do you wonder what Operation Cinder was that they mentioned in this show? Well, we got you covered because we have an entire playlist dedicated to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, which highlights Operation Cinder. So if you check out our playlist, you'll be able to see what actually happened with Operation Cinder and know what they're talking about with the show. Now back to ours. All right, welcome back, everybody. Kyle, I think I cut you off there at the end. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna ask you how you felt about the storyline itself with this game.
Um, so I liked it,
Mm,
but like I said, kind of in the beginning, that it felt like it felt not finished. Like
mm,
it, even though the ending definitely represented what an awesome ending would be, it didn't seem like it had enough substance.
mm.
So I felt like they basically created a a smaller version of what they should have. I don't know really where I'm going with this. It feels so weird with what we got. Um,
Mm.
I like it and I don't, because it
I could,
makes sense,
yeah,
but at the same time, it feels like where they ended it based on how the game was playing out. It almost seems like that should have been the middle of a game,
yeah,
and then we would have, had a whole other chunk to explore. So yes and no.
yeah.
Um,
I understand that. It's there's cool parts, and yeah, it did feel like where it ended, it could have been like, oh man, what are we gonna do now? But then it just ends.
right.
So
Especially since where they ended it, it was like
yeah,
we have to see what happens next.
yeah,
And then, not too much longer, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, canceled.
That that broke a lot of fans' hearts for sure.
Yeah, I mean, all like at that point, a lot of Star Wars stuff was built in trilogies. So it's like
Yeah,
there had to have been one more,
yeah.
and they just never did it, and they still have never done it.
Uh-huh.
Like I feel like, and I'm not much of a betting person, but I think I'd bet money on this. If they went back and either rebooted the series or if they just made the third game, because that's fine
Mhm.
too, I think it would be an easy cash grab.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm gonna bring in another franchise that we both enjoy, but like look at Kingdom Hearts. How
Right.
long? Like it was like what, a decade since the third one, and like it still sold pretty well. And imagine with it's also Disney now, Star Wars. Disney fans and Star Wars fans that played it, what if these games came out, they're probably gonna be thrilled that they finally came out with the third one.
Yeah. And all of us, when we were a kid and we grew up with The Force Unleashed 2, now we're adults with money. We can
Yeah,
throw it at you, you
yeah.
know?
That's that's what we did with Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's exactly
Yeah,
what we did with King.
yeah.
Well, so it's kind of funny that you bring up Kingdom Hearts because when the third game came out, where we live, there was a polar vortex,
Hmm.
and we had a whole week off as soon as that game came out. And it was kind of similar for me with The Force Unleashed 2 in a way. So like the day it was supposed to come out, it was a day of the week, so I had to go to school, and I planned on going to pick it up afterwards. Well, we had such bad rain, and the weather forecast was that there was supposed to be like a really bad tornado because things were so bad that school was canceled because of a tornado warning, which was unheard of. I did not know that was a thing. And so I was already at school when they announced it because I had uh, jazz band, which met before school started. And so basically, after I got there, they told us to go home. And so I went
Uh-huh.
home, and, it rained and poured for hours. And I just waited until GameStop opened and drove in that torrential rain to go get it. And so it was really nice to be able to, just take the day off and then go pick up the game and play it. The only bad part was, of course, pretty much beat it in one day.
Yeah. One thing people can't say about you is your determination to play the games you want to play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it defines who you are, Kyle.
it does define who you are. But yeah, that would have been a kind of bummer. You get home, you pop it in, and then you're like, man, this is gonna last me the rest of the day. And like, what? I finished it before school would be done.
Yeah, pretty exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that. I mean, at least you got to play it early. Uh, but that kind of a bummer.
yeah, yeah. I got the collector's edition, which came with the steel book at the
Yeah,
time, in that flash drive, like I mentioned.
yeah.
The flash drive did have a couple of like concept art slash I want to say behind the scenes type stuff on it.
Hmm.
But if I remember correctly, actually, I'll just look it up because it was ridiculously small.
I think it also. I saw a picture of it. I think it also had a picture of. I think it was Star Killer. Like it was a. Of course, I can't find it now. There it is.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it
think
had
it.
him on there.
Yeah, he was the. It was a Star Killer flash drive. He just had a really big head.
According to eBay, it was 2 gigabytes.
Wow.
I mean, for the time, that wasn't
Mhm.
too bad because this came out in
2010 or
yeah,
9.
2010. So that's not that bad
Yeah.
for the time. Like looking back now, I would not want a flash drive that was 2 gigabytes um at this day and age, but
No.
I never really used it. I don't even know if I still have it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, if it was only like 2 gigabytes, didn't get a lot. And if it's what you say behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah, that and I think some concept art maybe.
I always enjoy concept art over behind the scene, but it's always cool to get more information about the game.
Yeah, I like that stuff too. I'm actually the opposite. I prefer the behind the scenes type videos where they talk to you about stuff than
Uh-huh.
concept art. Concept art is cool, don't get me wrong, because then you
Oh
get to
yeah.
see, what was their process to getting there, what made the game, what didn't. But
Yeah.
um yeah, it's interesting to see all that different stuff.
Yeah. I just maybe like at the time I would have been more interested, but like seeing enough, it's like, okay, I understand what you guys do now that I don't need to learn more. But back then I could have been like, oh, that's cool, because that's a lot of that technology I think was new for video games. I think like like the balls they put on the bodies to do motion tracking, that was kind of new.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm pretty sure they used that for this game too.
yeah.
Because I remember seeing different things with Sam Witwer, which is the
Hmm.
guy that plays Starkiller, like him
Hmm.
having all those dots all over his face.
Yeah. That's how they got like those really good cutscenes and um into it. I think
Yeah,
they
because
did it. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that the cutscenes were beautiful. Like they
Yeah.
were real. If there's like when they said they were going for quality over
Yeah.
quantity, they at least made the game look really nice.
Yeah. Like they put time into those cutscenes. It wasn't just like, oh, we when we say this, we're not gonna actually do it. Like they actually did it.
Yeah.
And I do like the outfits that he every time you complete a section of the game, he changes outfits.
Hmm.
I believe he did that in the first one too. I don't, yeah, he did that in the first one.
Yep, you're
Uh,
correct.
yeah. And I thought that was cool. I always enjoy the outfits they do for at least him. Um, they were only really like really cool, really fitting of whatever area he's in. And I thought later, like once you beat the game, you can choose an outfit, but it might be just the skin thing. Maybe it was just skins you could wear during certain stories.
I do believe you get to so like once you actually complete the level, like if you
Uh-huh.
wanted to go back and replay, I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
could pick whatever you wanted at that time.
Okay. So I don't remember where, because remember in the first one where they um had the boxes that you could find?
Yeah, the holocrons.
Yeah. Did they have those in this game? I
Yes.
didn't think they did.
Hmm.
Okay. I didn't remember them, but
I think they might have had less of them because I remember
uh,
the first one having a ton of them.
oh,
Um,
yeah, same.
but I think they shrunk it down a little bit for the second game.
Okay. 'Cause I don't, you probably could have customized your lightsabers, at least colors. Um, but I don't remember if they had any perks to the colors. Because the first one, you got a certain color, it'd be like regain more health or attack, do more damage. But I don't remember if this one had that, but it's still good.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, I did find what all the different characters were. Like if you bought the DLC, which is actually super cheap right now.
Oh, is
Um,
it?
if you wanted the um, character pack for Force Unleashed 2, it's $1.
That's not
Um,
bad.
but you get Luke Skywalker and Dagobah training. So I
Nice.
think that's Luke with like Yoda on your back.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi in Clone Wars battle armor. Darth Malik, if you don't know who that is, that's the guy from Knights of the Old Republic. We actually
Mhm.
showed the action figure here not too long ago on the channel.
Nice.
Han Solo, Lando, Akbar, and then some other costumes that are Star Killer influence. So it's like him, but with different outfits.
Mhm.
So that's a pretty cool set. You know, what would I guess I should double check my facts here. When did the Clone Wars? I think that came out when I was a sophomore.
Yeah, Clone Wars, I think at least the movie I thought was before I went into high school, so 2009 or
It says
maybe
2008.
2008.
So this game came out in 2010, so it would make sense
Yeah.
to put Ahsoka in there because she has her lightsaber backwards.
Yeah.
Missed opportunities, I suppose.
They just didn't know how big Ahsoka was going to be at the time.
Yeah, because I think they probably would have had like season one, maybe two out by then.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, there was quite a bit of hate for Ahsoka at first. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. And she also didn't have the traditional one lightsaber, so she was definitely different than what everyone was used to. Um, but I'm happy that they showed different lightsaber styles. Because even with the new Star Wars game, what is it, Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Um, that emphasizes the different lightsaber styles that they use. So seeing Star Killer and then Ahsoka, I guess it would have been Ahsoka then Star Killer. Um, but seeing that was cool because you always see like dual blading is like rare in a lot of things. So having that in Star Wars is really cool.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you think if they would have made a third game, do you think he would have had a third one?
Because if people like anime, you can watch One Piece and they have a character that does it too. So he would have it in his mouth.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
thinking they would control it with the Force, but okay.
I mean,
That's
the
kind of
Force
funny.
would be a lot cooler. Yeah, I didn't I didn't think about that. Or he could be like General Grievous and have like a robot arm.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Like, what if, because they were mentioning, you know, if you pick the dark side version, then Starkiller would have died. But what if Starkiller would have gotten so messed up in the fight with Vader that he was like paralyzed or something, and he had to have robotics put into his spine, kind of like Doc Ock from
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man, and then
Mhm.
he would have had those extra arms like you were talking about.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy. And then they go down, and he just like slowly starts to lose it. And he eventually becomes like a full cyborg. That would be cool. To me, it would have been cool if that.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I personally feel this game is worth a play. Um, the I don't think you could get it on Xbox though. Like you have to get a physical copy if you want to play it, I believe. You
Let's
could
see.
PC, I know you could play it,
It says
but I
99 plus. What does that mean? It's like on the
hopefully
Xbox store. What does 1999 plus mean?
maybe the price.
Well, I know it's the price, but why is there a plus on the end of it is my question. The two exclusive challenge levels, the exclusive like Darth Maul, Star Killer mix skin,
Uh-huh.
and then the collector's edition stuff. You can't buy that on the store apparently. Like you have to actually have the physical copy and then have the code or whatever to access it. It's kind of
That
strange.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You buy it and then you're like, oh, I want to buy all this extras, and then you're like, well, too
Yiker.
bad. Thanks for your money though.
Yeah. Uh, we're going to take a short break here and then we'll be right back to wrap some things up. So stick around. Do you enjoy taking a look at Black Series figure collections? Well, then we have a playlist for you. We take a look at all the newest Star Wars Black Series figures that we can get our hands on and share them with you. So if you enjoy those types of videos, make sure to check out our playlist that goes over the Star Wars Black Series figures in our collection, and you will not be disappointed. So check those out. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Welcome back, everybody. We want to wrap it up here with talking about, whether we would recommend playing this game or not. I know for myself, because the game is so cheap, I think it would, not be a bad thing to be able to just pick it up from your local retro game store for like, I don't know, $5 or $10 and check it out. Depending on the console, I mean, there's different ways to access the game. I don't think the Nintendo versions are still, at least not Force Unleashed 2 quite yet. The first one is accessible on the Switch. I don't think the second one is. But if you're playing Xbox, you can access it through the Xbox digital store. Yeah, the Microsoft Store. Thank you. You can access it through there. I know for PlayStation, just because I have the thing, the PlayStation Core Plus Essential, all that good stuff, it's accessible in there too. So if you have the subscription where you can do the PS3 cloud gaming, you can access it on there as well. If you already have the service, then you don't have to pay for it, but you can check it out. The only thing with it is the cloud gaming part of it, because I know sometimes even I can have issues with playing cloud gaming. I don't have issues when I play remotely, but sometimes I do have issues with the cloud gaming. So I would definitely recommend the game, especially if you played the first one and you liked it. I would also even think about it in a way of like, so obviously Disney owns Star Wars now. They said this isn't part of canon. So if you want to be like, what's a Star Wars Legends story that would be fun to play? That would be one. I feel like you don't really need to play the first one to get the idea of what is happening here, because they establish right away, that you may or may not be a clone. And I feel like when I was playing the game the whole time, I didn't know either. So it's a good game. It's definitely very, very cool and action packed. You feel like, a Jedi with full on force powers. And I'm pretty sure that's what we all want anyway. So what do you think, Kyle?
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely one of those, if you have the time and looking for a game that you want to kill a few hours for.
Or 20 minutes.
Yeah, or 20 minutes. It could be that quick. I recommend this game too. It's really fun. The combat kind of gets you more into being a person with a lightsaber and force powers, because you really feel the impact of each in this game. Um, Story-wise, even if you weren't playing the first one, it's a good pickup spot, and if you might make you want to play the first one. Um, but yeah, I think it's a fun game to definitely play at some point if you're a Star Wars fan. Maybe it's not has to be on the top of your priorities, but it definitely is a pickup sometime down the road.
Yeah, especially with it being a quick one.
Yeah.
You don't, I would not expect to put a ton of time if you're playing just for like the story and playing through the actual like the game itself. Like if you're not like me where you're a trophy snob, then it'll only take you a good 5, maybe 6 hours to complete this game with cutscenes. So yeah, definitely agree with that.
I think if you have the option, the DLC adds to it a little, but I feel it's not a big loss if you don't pick that up.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are saying for like Disney Plus, Marvel got this whole what if series. What about Star Wars? It's right here. Especially with the DLC. So
I mean, if they did that with Star Wars, that'd be so cool if they brought in some. 'Cause I like some of the older stuff, and then bringing that in would be cool because there's some really nice characters that they could bring in from older books and games.
They've started to, when
Yeah.
things aren't good, borrow from stuff that was like Thrawn.
It's not, yeah. Oh, I'm so happy they brought Thrawn in.
Yeah, that's a whole other separate discussion, though. um, so yeah, we both recommend it. So, like we said, if you have the time, check it out. It shouldn't take you too much time, and it's definitely worth it for the quality that we got over quantity.
Mhm.
If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We do a Shoot the Sheev pretty much every week. We have different topics. Like this week was about a video game. Sometimes we talk about shows, uh, what have you. Tons of examples already. Check out the playlist. Drop us a like if you like the video, and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on The Force Unleashed 2. Did you play it when it came out? Did you have to go through a torrential rainstorm to go get it like I did? And also, what were just your thoughts? Did you like it? Did it not bother you that it was so short, or did it really bother you that it was short? And how bad do you want the third one? And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.